All right.
I
Well,
log on and I need.
it's 3:34. We will get started here,
Okay.
and as usual, we have the monthly financial records before us. So, well, let me for the audio record, let me say who's here. Um, we have Councilman Martin, Finance Director Crum, Deputy Finance Director Amber Cutlip, Mayor Steve Shag, Joe Geis, and myself, Garland Gates. So, with that, let's start and work our way through the financial statement.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just start right at the top with the. Well, by the way, everybody did get the emailed copy of the financial statements.
Yes.
Great. General fund has a balance of $1,052,805. That's down $77,000 from this time last year, but we're up $123,000 from January 1st. So I'm really, really happy with that, especially as my first few months here and all of the craziness that has been the world, that we've been able to maintain a steady balance in the general fund. So my kudos to all of those involved in being real careful with their spending and such over the last few months. Let's see, the street fund, that cash balance is 182,000, which is up about 80,000 from the beginning of the year. Kind of all the projects got to put on a temporary slowdown in March. We are starting to roll those things out now. So those funds will be used hopefully this summer still to get some of the paving projects done. Not a whole lot through the 220 fund. The health fund 225 has a cash balance of almost 390,000. That's up almost 39,000 from last year and almost 55,000 from the beginning of the year. So it's very healthy. We'll come back to it later, but we did just get the audit report from the health audit, and I'll chat about that after we get done with the numbers. Park fund is at 165,000. That is, they did purchase a truck in May. The beginning of June, they spent a little over 16,000 to pay off the note that they were holding for the Black Fork Commons restroom. So that came out June 2nd, I think. So they've paid for that, which is fabulous. And most of the pool expenses got moved into early June as well. So next month that balance will go down a little bit, but it still is remaining very healthy. Happy with that. Nothing too much in the next few lines. Let's see. Capital Improvement Fund, the 300 fund, it has a cash balance of 240,000. That's up almost 28,000 from this time last year and 22,000 from the beginning of the year. Once again, that's because we put a lot of projects on hold. We will be reevaluating over the next couple months to see, okay, well, what are these expenses that are kind of wants versus needs, and what can we buy this year that we get appropriated and we're hoping to buy. I think we'll probably still be able to do a lot of the stuff that we wanted to. But we will reevaluate that over the next couple months so that way we can still get any purchases done before year end. Sidewalks, streets, alleys, all that stuff. That's similar to before, where construction projects will be starting soon on those. All of those cash balances are up. The 354 fund for the police station is healthy, and that is right where we want it to be. The sewer fund, 400, they have a cash balance of 270, almost 272,000, which is down from last year about almost 78,000, really, and from the beginning of the year, about 78,000. Sewer and water, we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on, especially the water fund, which is what, 500. That's at cash balance of 196,000. After encumbrances, that's 29,000. So I know that John is very closely working on that, and as Nathan can attest, the utility commission is well aware of it, and they're getting plans to make that balance a little healthier. But on a good note, year-to-date change is only down $1,173. So, you know, everybody knows that the balance is tight, and they've been working really hard to make sure that the fund does not lose all of its money. So, hopefully we can make some changes to that to get a little so we can breathe a little easier. The 600 fund has a cash balance of $6,015,424. We are down almost $700,000 from last year and $545,000 from the beginning of the year, which is pretty much right on par with what council wants to do, to drop that down. And of course, May, you guys did have the legislation to reduce rates and such for the month as part of the COVID-19 response. So that balance is still very healthy, but it looks like it's going in the direction that everybody wants it to. Not a whole lot of notable changes through most of the rest of the first page. The hospitalization fund has remained very healthy. It's at $521,000. We're up almost 124,000 for the year. That was with early in March. I was very worried because we didn't know what COVID-19 had in store. But as of yet, that fund has stayed very healthy. And so that's a big relief.
Let me interrupt at this point. Like last year we put some additional monies into that fund. And by doing so, we were able to offset a much larger percentage increase than what we had first thought. And I think that comes in October, is it, where they visit and tell us about, give us a ballpark figures of what, the next year's rates will be. So that's something to keep in mind. And then I'm also thinking a few years back, when the fund was in a very healthy state like it is right now, well above the $300,000. I believe one year we were able to not make some contributions for a few months, which of course, when you think about, water and sewer having to contribute to that, if we could go a couple months and not make a contribution to the hospitalization fund, that will certainly act to the benefit, obviously, of all funds, but the water and the sewer in particular. So that's something to think about with, when we get this visit in October-ish, that we might be able to think then of what we can do, either to help the water and sewer and other funds this year, or to look what we might be able to save ourselves in a percentage increase for next year. So it's kind of a 6 to 1, half dozen the other, but it's good to have those options.
I mean, I will say I was told that, and this is by the health people, that when it gets to be about $750,000 balance, that's when they offered that holiday.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it seems like the trend is, and we're in a pool. Even if we do good, if someone else doesn't do so good in the pool, then that could, hamper our rates too, and just the increased cost in general of healthcare. However, I think the goal is if you have a minimum rate increase, and if we've talked to different municipalities and school districts here in the last couple of years, and our 3 and 4% increases are very favorable compared to their 10 to 15% with a lot of them. So
Okay.
Yeah, I must say, and I've seen increases of 25% a year. In a lot of health insurance things that are not necessarily self-insured, but so I see 5%. I'm like, hey, that's great. So hopefully, though, yeah, we can. I like the idea of being able to skip a few months if that's possible at the end of the year. That would be awesome, especially for water and sewer. But yeah, if we can keep it at 3, 4, 5% rates, I think we would probably be doing a lot better than many organizations.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
go ahead.
just, the end of May is 42% of the year. And if we look down at the bottom where we can see we've had 38% of our revenues and spent 33% of our um, expenditures, that's a quick and dirty yardstick there. So I also note that I see no negative figures in the column after encumbrances are applied. So I do appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Okay, if that's okay with the first page, we can move on to the second page, which starts with the total budget, revenues and expenditures. Revenues so far for all across are 11,977,000 compared to expenditures of 11,785,000. So we're ahead of the game 192 grand. You'll notice that compared to 2019, both revenues and expenditures are down. That's not surprising as we're kind of expecting some shortfalls in revenues here for a while, and we've adjusted expenditures accordingly. And it's the same deal with the general fund revenues and expenditures. So I'm just happy to see the 123,356 in the positive there at the bottom line. Revenues for the various, the general government, local government, et cetera. All of those funds are in the ballpark, more or less. Not surprising, other than the 240 fund, the income tax transfer is down 200,000, and that is not surprising because of our tax extension. We probably won't see that number even out until the July financials. So we'll just kind of have to ride that out for the time being. Wages in the 101 fund is actually down about $3,000 from this time last year. So that's fabulous. I know that there's kind of been a lack of in some of the departments that end up with overtime. They've managed to work out the schedules to avoid the overtime, especially with folks having to stay home and the limited office space. So that worked out in our favor. We've saved on some overtime over the last couple months, and it's actually made our total wages smaller overall than last year. Capital improvement funds, as we kind of talked on the other day, the revenues are down, not surprisingly, but so are expenditures, and we will be evaluating what we can spend here later on. We talked about the police fund on the first page as well, so those numbers don't surprise me. Income tax, individual, we've had 375,000 compared to 606,000 last year, which is down 38%, and business is also down 38%, 39%, which is just because of the extended tax date. I expect those numbers to probably even be a little higher than last year by the close of the July financials. Withholding is down 3%. I guess that's not terrible, really, for as many businesses that have been on shutdown and such for several months. To only see a 3% drop in withholding, I'm not too upset about that. Does anybody have any questions about that page?
For the withholding, and how many businesses remit their withholding monthly, and how many do it quarterly? Do you have a feel for that?
You know, I would have to ask Sarah or Lisa.
Sure.
You know, I would imagine that most of our big ones, you know, the Tubi, the hospital, all of that, those will be monthly. The quarterly ones, a lot of them are it's probably going to be a fairly small percentage, really, because even though more of them report quarterly, that they don't have nearly as much payroll.
Right, right.
I was gonna say, it's like, just from judging from their deposits, I'm gonna say most of them do pay monthly. As Brian said, and that's just judging from the deposits I get from them and knowing that they're withholding, so.
Yeah, so hopefully this is a good sign. You know, obviously they've been making the monthly payments even through March, April, May. So I'm happy with it.
Good.
So.
All right.
All right. The next page leads off with utilities. And that's pretty much what we covered on the first page again. Wastewater is down 78,000 for the year. Water is down just 1,100, and then electric is down 545,000, which, you know, is planned. So we definitely need to look at wastewater and water about how to keep those funds in a healthy situation. But those numbers don't surprise me based on our conversations for the last few months. Midway down the all funds expenditures, wages is up 1.4% from last year. That's fabulous to keep things fairly even. And that's mainly due to the lack of overtime, and well, nobody's going on vacation because there's no place to go. So
Joe
hospitals,
found a place to go.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Hospitalizations up 5.3%, which was pretty much what they told us. Let's see, purchase power is down 4.1%. Admin cost on the copy I sent you guys, the number was missing. The 2020 number for Fund 492 admin cost is $415,950. So that's a $625 reduction from last year. And I will have those numbers adjusted on the paper copies I bring to council tonight. Transfers to all of the funds from the income tax, those are all down, significantly, really percentage wise, all the same. And that's mainly because of the tax extension, and those will theoretically rebound to a fairly normal amount come July. Refunds are only 26,000, which is great. People are not asking for their money back yet. So that number might go up a little bit as some folks who file later will be getting refunds. That's pretty much all I have for that page, if everybody's okay there.
Okay.
The next page is our bank accounts. We have $14,618,000 in the bank. The general fund is $4,212,000. The electric fund is almost $3 million, $2,970,000. Parks 165. So those are all pretty much what they are. And after we get done with the financials, I'll chat a few minutes about bank fees and our work there.
Okay. Well, let's just do it now. The sheet's up. Let's just do it.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of steady information yet. I've spoken with Mechanics, First Federal, and Richland Bank or Park National. And all of them would like to see copies of our statements based on my conversations with them. It sounds like in most cases they will give us a break to get us started, and then in a year they'll be back up. So we're really going to have to, once I get their quotes, we'll really have to consider, okay, how much work is it to transfer all of our accounts versus how long will the reduction last and how much will the reduction be? Nobody came back saying, oh yeah, we love you guys so much. We want your money. We're not going to give you any fees. We weren't that lucky. But so that is a work in progress.
One of us can remember when indeed that was the fact.
Mm-hmm. And really, I just, obviously I'm not a banker, but you think, geez, they've got $14 million. I could make so much on loans on that. I'd love to keep that money, but I don't know how the banking industry is anymore. I'm sure Amber could attest to the challenge that they face too.
I will chime in for one of our contacts at US Bank. He did reach out to me on his own before I even got a chance to call him. Let me know that one of the products we had was costing us more money than it was worth these days in the interest environment. Worked with me on fees and everything all on his own. I didn't have to ask him for it. He just did that. So I thought that was nice. So it might not even be so much changing banks as maybe looking at the products we have with them too in the meantime also to see if there's something that's costing us money that used to make us money, but now with no interest, of course, maybe it's costing us more money than it's worth. So definitely something to look at with PNC as well, because they obviously have a lot of our deposits.
Well, and you might, Brian, it might be worthwhile pick up the phone and call some of your cohorts in neighboring communities, and because obviously they're dealing with the same issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what have you done? How have you twisted the banker's arms? And
that's a good idea. I'm saying it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and have a conversation.
Sure.
I'm sure that yeah, everybody's in the same boat on that one. So I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for the cash investment reconciliation page. The next page just shows the Suter Roush balances. Nothing really too notable there. The Edwards Jones funds lost a little bit of money, which is not surprising because every investment did, but hopefully
Don't I know?
Yeah, no kidding. Hopefully that will even out over time. The last page then is income tax collection. And, so not surprisingly, our total income tax collection to date is 1.650,744 compared to 1,978,000 this time last year. It's, it's just a weird year. We'll just have to see how things go.
Well, if you take 2019 out of the picture and look at May of 16, 17, 18, and 20.
Yeah, it's really not that far off.
Yeah, it's not all that far off.
Mm.
So, trust me, I like that basically at $2 million last year by the end of May. But again, when you look historically, that's an aberration.
Yeah. That is very true. So it will, which is also odd. I wonder, could it be collection times, because I know that we were kind of behind for a few years there and we weren't getting returns processed as fast. And I know last year they did a much better job. So, because you look at the end of the year, it's like 2019 was a total of 3,978,000, and 2018 was 3,910,000. So, maybe it's just because last year they worked so much faster. I don't know.
Well, that could be.
Either way, it was an outlier.
Yeah.
Right. No, definitely the speed of processing has picked up immensely. So that's definitely a factor that we see reflected in 19. So
good.
Okay, that's pretty much all I have for the actual finance reports. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't. Mr. Martin?
All right.
Well, you had mentioned it, and indeed, I checked my email, and we have the audit from the for the health department for 2019. We are very much limited as to what we can say about that. We cannot talk about any particulars until the state auditor releases them. We do have an opportunity to make comment on their draft audit report and then to make comments on that. I skimmed through that this afternoon and didn't see anything that that jumped off the page at me. But Brian, I'll leave that to your judgment as to what extent and how we want to comment and have our comments incorporated or attached to the draft report. So when it's released, it's there. The one thing that we do need to take care of, and it's timely it came today, is to whether or not we wish an exit conference. Historically, the city has not done that unless Mayor, you or the finance director can think of a reason why we should have an exit interview. It would be my judgment to make a recommendation at council that council not request or actually to waive the post audit conference. And there's a time frame in which we need to do that. I think it's usually something like 10 days from today. And again, with the council meeting, it's timely to do that. So I'll make that motion this evening as well. So, but again, you know, in public session, we can't discuss much of the substance. In fact, we can't discuss any of the substance of the report. If there's reason why council should meet tonight in an executive session to do that, that's one of the reasons for executive session under state law. So I don't, again, I glanced through things. I didn't see anything, you know, that jumped off the page at me. So.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see anything really abnormal in the report.
No. They always find something, because if the examiners don't find anything, they have to explain to their boss why they didn't find anything. So,
that's very true.
I do know of a perfect audit, and I will discuss that this evening during miscellaneous business.
Oh,
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It wasn't the cities.
I guess that's really all I have per se. Somebody else has something for me.
Nathan, do you have any questions, comments?
I do not.
I think I heard no.
No, I do not.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. Well, anything else from on the finance end of things?
Nothing too substantial unless Amber has something.
Nope, that covers it.
Okay. Well, you know, we like these reports, as everyone does, nice and neat and no surprises. So, and I think that pretty well describes what we have here in front of us. Mayor, we'll turn to you for personnel. Any personnel issues to report?
Well, maybe in the area of the taxi, folks have been asking about getting the taxi going again. The vehicle is currently out at the service department, going over things, brakes and everything. We will, in earnest now, be looking for a taxi driver. It looks like the guidance from the Ohio Department of Health is such that we can meet those protocols. So we'll be looking to put an advertisement out, actually, for a taxi driver and a backup driver. So kind of want to make sure we'll be able to do things with our vehicle that we're supposed to, which it seems like we can. And then, like I say, the next step then would be to find a driver through temp services. So that, I think that's about the only thing as far as personnel. Amber, can you think of anything else in that regard?
No, I don't think, no, not at the moment.
I think everyone's back at full force across the city, have been for some time here, so things are going well.
Can't write and talk at the same time. So, well, that's good. That's good. And the public coming into utilities office and city hall, is that working?
Everyone has been abiding by the protocols. We have things clearly marked, and of course, we have plexiglass in place, and it seems like we have wonderful cooperation from the public. That'll get a little more interesting, I'm sure, as we come close to the tax deadline. We may take a couple other measures at that point, but so far, we've not been super busy here at City Hall, nor have they been at utilities building as well, office.
Well, I've not gone out too much to too many places, but in in driving by, let's say, restaurant parking lots in the the evening, and people are not, at least the places I'm going by, are not flocking back. They're being very, very tentative about this.
I've seen both a little bit. I mean, was in one of our local establishments here, and she has things marked off very well and following all the protocols. And it kind of comes, she was saying this kind of comes and goes. It comes in waves. Plus with waitresses, sometimes they're not at full force of their waitresses. So they're probably about all they can handle right now. But I was over in Ontario in that particular restaurant. It just seemed like it was like almost business as usual. So I think it varies from where you go, but yeah, folks are slowly but surely, I think, dipping their toes in the water.
That's it's a good metaphor, Mayor.
Yep.
Well, if there's nothing else to come to finance and personnel, it is 4:06, and we will adjourn.
Good. Thank you.